Hey everybody, it's Tarot at the Dark Time. I hope y'all got y'all drinks. I hope y'all ready. Hope y'all got y'all pen and paper most of all because it's going to be a good show today. I have Miss Monique Ruffin, and she also goes by Moon Mama, here today as a guest. I'm going to be introducing her here shortly, but before that, I want to kind of briefly, for those of you guys who've never been to any of my shows, what we're going to be doing is just talking about what Tarot at the Dark is. It's just a place where you can come and you can talk about spirituality. You can talk about life as far as love, sex, intimacy, relationships, growth and development, healing any traumas. This is going to be the place for that. But we're going to be winding down, chilling and vibing out. So I just hope that you guys really, really enjoy the show that I have going on for you guys today. So we're going to be talking about astrology and how astrology can change your life forever. Listen, so I really want to quickly tell you guys how I even came up with today's episode. So basically, I was working on myself, and I use astrology as a self-developmental tool for me. And I'm like, you know what? This will be a really good show if I just could present to others the tools that I use to work on myself, which is astrology. That is definitely one of the tools, tarot as well. And so, as it relates to love, as it relates to intimacy, as it relates to just how I relate to the things around me and other people, I mean, astrology really broke it down and helped me understand myself. So what we have is what you call a natal chart. And a natal chart is where the planets were in the sky, the time, date, and location of your birth. And it just breaks down everything about you and how you're connected to the planets, the stars above us. And it's just been amazing. But before I say too much, I want to bring on an expert to really discuss what astrology is, how she uses astrology, how you can use astrology, especially as it relates to love and intimacy. And you guys, buckle up your seatbelt, get ready, because my guest that I have, the drum roll please. Oh, look at me, I didn't spill my drink. It's okay. Monique Ruffin, Moon Mama, come on, please.
Hi there, Jasmine. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
You know what? I'm excited to be here. I so appreciate when people are able to mix things that we like wine and winding down in the evening and sensuality, and then with a great conversation about astrology, or whatever it is. But there's purpose in this, and this is what I like to do.
Yes. Oh my God. And I am so grateful that you just said yes to me about being on my show. So really quick, I want to tell you guys how I met Moon Mama, Miss Monique Ruffin. I needed a natal chart reading, and I'm just like, I need to find somebody who is great at this, who gets this, who understands this. And my Reiki coach said, hey, I got the perfect person for you. She posts about astrology all the time, every day. She knows what she's talking about. I contacted her. She got back to me quick. And when I tell y'all this, the information she gave me about myself was enlightening, life changing, and it really helped me center myself. So I wanted to share her with you guys. And so before I say too much, I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So tell me a little bit about you in astrology. How did you even get into astrology?
Yes. So let me say that I'm Monique. I go by the name Moon Mama. I have been on a spiritual journey since I was 3. Really. I was raised in a family that was really religious. Like my grandfather was a minister, and, we just grew up in the church, but it just never really sat with me. Like, I love the feeling of church. I don't know if anybody's really familiar with church, but if you are, like, just the feeling and the music, and it feels so good. But when I got old enough and started to understand the doctrine, it just didn't sit right with me. So I I just went from one spiritual path to the next for years. Like I studied Islam, I studied Hinduism, I chanted, I just did everything. I did, and I loved it. Everything I did, I loved. Like I was a really good Buddhist. I was a really good, you know what I mean? Like, because I just love sacred work. I just love it. I love God. Whatever language God is in, I love it, right? But I would always find myself in places where somebody would say something like, this is the only way, like, you know, like Jesus is the only way, or Buddha. And every time it would get to that point, I'd be like, wah, wah, wah. It just, I never could believe that God in all of her glory would create one way to access her. It just didn't make sense to me. So one day I used to write I was a writer, and I've written for Huffington Post and all of these, pretty established publications. And I was writing for a place called Mom.me. It might still exist. And the publisher there came to me and asked me if I would like to write about astrology. And I was like, well, because she's like, you're always talking about it. And I was like, well, I actually just talk about it because I like it. I don't really know enough about it to write about it. And she was like, well, we're going to be paying that person, the person who we need to write, we're going to pay them. Like, she named this really significant amount of money at the time. And I was like, oh, okay, then I'm going to get some books and I'm going to learn.
Exactly. Oh my God.
And so I just started ordering books and started learning and started writing. And then it was about the writing though, but then it became about the astrology. I was like, oh my God, because I had already had a degree in spiritual psychology. I had studied, relationship coaching. I'd done all this sort of stuff to help people. Like, that was what my life was about, like how to help people. So I'd done all these things, but when I found astrology, I was like, how come I didn't start with this? This is the answer. This is the answer to all the therapy. This is the answer to the psychology. This is the answer to the depression. This is the answer to how come you and your man don't get together or work it out. This is the answer to fucking everything.
Yes, ma'am. Listen, if you ain't said a word, you have said a word. Because that is so true. This is the answer to everything. So, I mean, it's amazing to hear your story. First of all, how you even got into astrology. That is so crazy. That is amazing. Like, that is so interesting how we all on this journey and things come to us in different ways. Like, you do this every day and you're so knowledgeable about it, and just to know, wow, it came to you the way it did, like, that is crazy. A job offer, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
the universe is something else and will come to you.
I know, right?
In so many different ways, but that is amazing. Right. I am so glad that you shared that, because that's some new information to me. Listen, she's not only a dope astrologist and a healer. This woman did everything. You didn't roll for the wow, that's incredible. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. So when it comes to astrology, and when it comes to how you relate to others, like, how did you use astrology to relate to others? Like, what did it teach you about how you relate to others?
Well, the first thing that I really had to learn who I was. Like, I just knew that I had been having a lot of painful relationships in my life. Like, my relationships just were really painful. And I saw the pattern, but I always thought it was something wrong with them. And not that it was anything wrong at all, but I always was just like, he doesn't communicate, or he's not interested in growing, or he doesn't want commitment, or it was always that, right? Wow. And, or I'm addicted to men who are like my father, whatever it was. But when I started studying the astrology, I was like, oh, this shit is all me. like I think it's them, but it's me.
Yes. Ain't that crazy?
And so it just changed everything. So it really, first and foremost, had me look at who I am and why I relate to men. Like, so I had a couple of things that were things in my life. Like, I always attracted men who had like big personalities and whose energies were really dominant. And I thought that I didn't know that there was something to that. But when I started looking at my chart, I was like, oh, that's because my sun is in opposition to my ascendant. So because my sun is in opposition to my ascendant, I attract people who are powerful because I am rejecting my own power. So I would always get into relationships where there would be power struggles because I attract people who think like, oh, she's docile. She's submissive. But then I would get in the relationship and be like, oh no, you docile because you're about to submit to me. Like, it would be a power struggle, right? But I saw that in my astrology. And when I saw it in my astrology, I was able to go, oh, I need to just own my power.
That's it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh my God. And you know what? I asked that question intentionally because I wanted you to take the lead on that because I just love what you do. I love how you word the things that you say. And I feel like I look at you like an expert in this field, and I just love to hear your feedback. And it's very true. Like, me myself, my Venus is in Aries. Wow. Like, I wish, you know what I'm saying? Your Venus is how you love. For those of you who's watching and don't quite know about astrology, it's a lot of viewers that are here that already know, but the ones that don't know, and I'll let Miss Mo add in some things if I miss anything. But Venus is how you love, how you give and receive love, how you value it. And mine is in Aries. So I'm an Aquarius, but my Venus is in Aries, which is interesting because I used to jump in relationships so fast as soon as I felt like, oh my God, I found the one, and I didn't really take time to even really get to know the person. I energetically felt like I knew them. So I would move quickly. And it's interesting because my Venus in Aries taught me that. Like, I move like an Aries in love life. And so could you elaborate on more of like what that means to have just Venus in general, but especially run through a Venus in Aries? Like, what is your perspective on something like that?
Yes. Well, so first, Venus is how we restore ourselves. Venus is, like you said, it's how we love, but it's how we make money. It's how we love. It's how we make money. It's how we relate to other people, friends, everyone. It's how we relate. But then Venus in Aries is the baby of the zodiac. So the thing about that I love about Venus in Aries is that it's renewable. Like, you're resilient. You know what I mean? Like, right? So in partnership, you're like a trail. You really are. Venus in Aries really is somebody that's ride or die. Like, that's, but it's not, it's because you have like an eternal youth. It's like you can fall down and get up and fall down but you're a daredevil. So like, one of the things about people with Aries energy is that they just are fighters, right? So you have to be thoughtful of that energy so that you're not fighting your partner and you guys are like fighting the world or whatever it is, like, because you need to have that fight. My mother was an Aries and my parents used to fight, and I never really understood it until astrology. And I saw her astrology and I was like, oh, she's an Aries. That's why they fucking fight. Where I'm like super sensitive and was like, oh, why are you guys? But they need, that's what people, and we judge things in this culture like it's wrong, right? So it's like, oh, she's a battered woman. Actually, she was not a battered woman. She was starting all this shit. You know what I mean? So it's just an interesting thing. But what's also fascinating about your chart is not just the Venus in Aries, is Mars in Sagittarius.
Yes.
So, really, you're not someone who is going to be nailed down. Like, you're not, when they say these girls ain't loyal, like, Mars in Aries is somebody who needs freedom. I mean, Mars in Sagittarius. Mars in Sagittarius is somebody who needs freedom, somebody who will not be controlled, somebody who is not interested in doing things on other people's terms. Like, you can't do it. It's not possible for you. So the question is, when you have this kind of energy, huh?
It is so hard too. Like that Venus in Aries, like I'm telling y'all, only way I literally will compromise and stuff like that when it comes to, because my view is like you don't have to control another person. Let them be them and you be you. Why have restrictions? Be who you
Right.
are, because you fell in love with me like I fell in love with you. And if we have trust, we don't have to try to control each other. That control thing, it drives
Right.
up the wall. But when I feel like I have someone who's trusting me, I could submit better to them. And so that fire
Right.
energy, it is crazy, and you gotta be a strong brother
Right.
for that Venus and Aries,
Right.
Mars and Sagittarius to really submit. So these are very
Right.
important things to know about yourself, guys. Like seriously.
Right.
But yes, I'm sorry I got caught up in what you were saying, because it was like, boom, I was feeling where you was coming from, and I'm like, yes, I agree. But you can continue. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing, though. I want us to learn to be really mindful of our language, right? Because so you don't necessarily need a strong brother. You need someone who is self-assured and confident in themselves enough to have a strong woman. That's really what it is. And you're, and your strength, within strength, there's also vulnerability for you. And we're not really submitting to the man, because we're submitting to the agreement that we have with a person, right? You make an agreement and you show up in that agreement, but you're not submitting to another human being, because nobody ever has power over you. You guys make agreements and you keep the contract, is what I'll say.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, especially what's understood sometimes just don't have to be explained. You have that partner that you just love and connect with. It's just, I have that, so I know what that is. And I have,
yes,
like, his Venus is in Cancer, and my Venus is in Aries, so this thing has been crazy, but it's taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, when someone, it's just, it's, what do you think about the twin flame journey? Real quick, not to segue,
Yeah.
but in astrology, it's like, I feel like in astrology, I have literally learned myself a lot, and I've been able to assess other people based off of
Yeah.
their cosmic disposition, based off of their own natures, so I don't personalize things, but also I can separate the emotion from things and look at things like, this is what it is. It's not necessarily what you believe it is. This is what it is with this person, because they have their own walk, they have their own personality, their own glitches, their own way of being, and it's like, this has just really grown me in any relationships that I've been involved in, whether it was friendships, relationship, me and my partner. Like, I have really learned that, wow, Venus and Aries can be very selfish, but in a way in which it's like you have to keep in mind that you're with someone.
Yes.
Keep in mind that you're with someone, and you have to be mindful of who they are and what they want as well. And we'll give love, but it's like sometimes it's one of those things where we could just be so on our own agenda and trying to hustle in life and do Aries things, moving, going, and focus, and I gotta go. Either we're extremely engrossed in our partners, or we can have moments where we completely detach in our own zone. So it's how important it is to know who you are in this kind of way. And so, if you don't mind sharing, could you tell us a little bit about your Venus, and or just an example of a Venus, like your Venus, and how has that knowing your Venus helped you in relationships?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my Venus, but before I talk about my Venus, so you are a Venus in Aries, and you do have, so Venus in Aries is fire. Mars in Sag is fire. Sag is very independent. Venus is very independent in Aries. But then on top of it, you have the moon, the sun, and Mercury in Aquarius. The fact that you could be in a relationship at all is a miracle because somebody that is with you will have to be, they have to allow you to be yourself. You will not be anything else but yourself. So I just want to say that. So now my Venus, okay, I just want to say that. Okay, so my Venus is in Libra. Oh, and let me tell you, it has been the bane of my existence. I have Venus in Libra, but my South Node. I have Venus in Libra and Mercury in Libra conjunct one another in the 7th house. So I'm all relationship, but my whole life is about relating. And then I have Pluto conjunct my Sun. So not only have I spent my life just wanting to have a boyfriend, oh my God, I want one so bad, and then obsessing about it when I don't have one, and obsessive in this weird sexual way because I have the Sun conjunct Pluto. So all of my obsessions would be like sex because it's just, my Venus has been hell. That's all I can say. It's been, but I have learned how to really be of service to people. And now I've learned how to be of service to myself because my Southern Node the Southern Node is what you've mastered. So my life early on was really about submitting to the will of other people. Like I was just in environments where the environment was stronger than me. So like I was a little girl living with my grandmother and all her kids. You know, I couldn't win in that situation. I was just outnumbered. So my life has always been about it. You know, it's kind of like my life broke my energy early. So I spent the later part of, you know, like in my 30s, I started going, why am I at the effect of everybody? Why is my life fucking about everybody else but me? And so I started really realizing that I needed to learn how to be selfish. And now I'm that. Now I don't do anything I don't want to do. Because my South Node is in Aries. So I literally think about myself and I'm selfish. I'm like selfish, really selfish.
Ain't nothing wrong with being selfish at all. Because guess what? If you can't take care of you and you can't be okay and you're not good, how can you be good for anything or anybody else? So
that's right.
Okay, now, shout out to
That's right. But Venus, the thing I will say also about Venus and Libra is that it allows me to understand everyone because Venus, like I can relate to everyone's story and everyone's plight. So it makes me a really great astrologer because I don't judge people at all. Like I can encourage people to be whatever. Like I've had clients who come to me and they want to be sex workers and I'm able to look at their chart and tell them how they can do it because I get it. It's like people, you can see stuff in people's chart that have them really drawn into particular ways of being. And the world might say, oh, you shouldn't be a sex worker, but I can see in their chart, like, no, you're going to be a fucking great sex worker. So
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Like, I'm just over here. So, listen, astrology, every day that I look into it, I get more and more impressed. It's like I can relate to you when you said you found the absolute, basically. You did all these things. You went on all these different journeys. You was a part of all these different religions or these different processes. And astrology was like, you said, this is it. And this helped me see myself. And
yes.
It's like I can relate because I did the same thing. I was in Malcolm X Foundation, and I was in all these grassroots organizations. I was, you know, woke, quote unquote. I mean, oh my God, learning about you know, Kemet, you know, Africa.
Yeah.
Learning, you know, I was entrenched in all these things, but one thing that I felt I didn't get from that was myself. And I feel
Yes.
when I found astrology, I feel like it wasn't about how I relate to it wasn't about all these other things. It was about who
Yeah.
I am. And
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend for anybody who wants to really get on this journey of growing and trying to develop yourself and heal yourself. Listen, check out astrology. It's just, you don't have to, it's just a suggestion. But on another
Yeah.
note, I want to talk about Venus and Mars and just your perspective on Mars. Let's talk about Mars. We kind of talked about Venus. Let's talk about Mars in
Mm-hmm.
your natal chart
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the Mars journey. I just want to hear your perspective.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh, so Mars. So let me say, I go because I have a challenging chart. So these aspects have been challenging for me, but you know, when you start to learn your astrology, things get easier because now you know where the pitfalls are. Yeah. Right? So Mars really is how you embody life. Mars is Venus is the feminine, how you feel, your emotions, right? Yeah. And then Mars is how you really execute those emotions, the external. Venus is the symbol for woman and Mars is the symbol for man. And so, you know, Mars, the symbol of Mars is really like a penis. It's like an arrow with a circle. So it's like a penis and some balls, right?
Yeah. I've never looked at that.
Yeah.
Mars completely different now. Go ahead.
Right. Because it's how you move through life. It's how you move and body life. So like you have Mars in Sagittarius. So Mars in Sagittarius, for instance, in the 8th house. So and it's okay for me to talk about your astrology, yeah?
Yes, it's okay for you to go in on me because
Okay.
I want the people. First of all, she is an astrologer, you guys, and I have come to her before to understand myself better. And a lot of times in astrology, they tell you what you already know, but you just don't know how to word it or you don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Listen, when she breaks this shit down, it is so crazy because, baby, it's so neat. But go ahead, continue.
Okay. So you have Mars in Sagittarius in opposition to Gemini. And Gemini is like the archetype of the teacher, curiosity, the mind, perception, and Sagittarius is like the professor. So when you have it set Mars in the 8th house, and the 8th house is sexuality. So when I see that, I'm aware that because it's in opposition to Chiron, like early in your life, like maybe you were attracted to people who showed up one way, but they really were a different way. Like you would think they were one thing, but then after time you would get to know them and the truth would be revealed and they weren't what they presented themselves as or what you thought they were, right? And so that's a lesson you've had to learn in your life, like how to trusting yourself to make good decisions in love relationships and who you're attracted to. Hold on. Yes. Thank you. Sorry, somebody was knocking on my door. So
it's a regular vibe. We just vibing, y'all. That's what this is about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Right. So that's the first thing. It's like you've had to learn lessons, like deep lessons in your sexuality because of who you've been attracted to.
Terrible. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But it's in your astrology, right? So they weren't dogs. They were your teachers.
Exactly. And you know what I'm saying? Like this also, what you just said. These people were my teachers. It's like a mirror. It's like this stuff is so, y'all, it's so deep. How we attract, we can blame. This helped me stop pointing the finger. This helped me.
Yes.
This helped me start looking at myself. This helped me be accountable. This helped me realize that it ain't them, it's me. And even when it's them, it's still me because they're that's a reflection of me. And when you come to that type of understanding, it's a different level of accountability. It's a different level of development into who you are.
Yes.
It's a different level of healing. And so,
yes. Preach, girl. Preach.
Girl, read me the filth, girl. I love it. Yes, you ain't lying. Like, that's been the story of my life. And not only that, that Venus and Aries, it makes me move fast. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all that combined, you can just run into the hands of the wrong people all on a constant.
On a constant, baby. Until you finally was like, what is going on? Right.
What is going on with me? I need to.
That's right.
Listen, y'all see this mirror? Yes. Astrology
yes.
is a mirror, baby. What's
yes.
What's going
yes.
on?
What you doing?
Together. Because we are not attracting what we need to be attracting, our power. And you know what's crazy is I always used to get told by older men, you're just so beautiful. You just don't even know your power. Listen, when you know your power, you realize, stop hexing yourself. Stop running into these situations and running to other people. Just run into you, because the way out is in.
That's right.
Honey,
come on now.
Woo. A little sip on that.
Okay. That's right.
So
the way out is in, girl. It is the.
I had to get in there because you made me feel some type of way. It's the exchange of energy, and it's so true. But you can continue. You can continue now. You go ahead.
No. That's so good. That is so good. So, Mars. Back to Mars. So Mars is, often who we're attracted to, right? So you have Mars in Sagittarius. Have you dated Sagittarian men?
Girl, no. I haven't dated a Sagittarius man. But Sagittarius energy, definitely that fiery energy.
Okay. Have you dated Scorpio men?
Just one.
No. Okay. Just one. Just so, but it's not, sometimes it can be a real direct connection to who you're attracted to. Like, Mars and Sagittarius.
I had a lot of Capricorn, a lot of Virgo. Well, Virgo, Capricorn has been like the main thing, and then some Gemini, some Aries. So fire and earth has been a lot of the interactions I've had personally.
Okay. Okay, cool. So Mars is, so like I said, it's also so it's what you're attracted to, is how you move through life, how you embody and take on how assertive and aggressive you are. It's your ability to forge new paths, because it's Aries. It's governed by Aries. So your ability to start things is governed by Mars. And I mean, Mars is fucking significant. It's when you have to pee and you feel your body go, I got to get up now and go pee.
Yes.
That's Mars. Yes. Mars pushed on your bladder and said, you better go now.
Yes, ma'am. So I have a question. So more of a comment and a question. And this is for you guys to watch and take notes and pull in this energy. And if you don't know about this, and even if you know about this, it's nothing like confirmation. It's nothing like you never too smart to learn more or to get just someone else's perspective. So please take notes. Please watch this and learn and pull as much as you can, because Miss Monique Ruffin is amazing, and she actually charged for her services, honey. I paid. Okay? She's the truth. So, pull this energy in, like, get into it. But I wanted to say this. So let me just be vulnerable and transparent, because that's what this is about.
Yes, please.
Right? So I used to have this issue where I would break shit, flip out. Once my feelings was hurt, once I was crushed, it was over with, like a blackout, but a quick one. But it would be like all she wrote, because it would feel like, oh my God, you betrayed me, like my world is over. In my chart, do you feel like when you see the Mars placement and when you see the Venus placement, and then like you said, them opposing different aspects in my chart, I feel like you can see that? And the reason why I'm asking that before you answer is because in life we can get caught up on people labeling us, and we can wear these labels, and we can walk around feeling a certain type of way because, okay, life told me I was like this. The people said that I was like this. And though you may have that energy signature, it's dangerous when people put a label on you versus you realizing, well, hey, I'm just a fucking Venus and Aries. Hey, I'm just a fucking Mars and Sagittarius. I'm fire. Don't piss me off. Don't play with me. So it's like one of them things where it's like, I wanted to ask you, when you see that, when you look at my chart, can you see that? And then what did you have to say kind of about, like, your own natures and how we can walk around feeling some type of way in our lives because we're having this energy signature and attracting these things for ourselves, and then they just tell us how ugly we are and we believe it instead of understanding the power of it, and then also the low vibrational side of it, so you can balance the shit out and control it.
That's right.
If you kind of just elaborate more about all of that. I know that was a mouthful,
Yes.
but I know you feel.
No. I heard you. Yeah. I heard you. So it's important to know, like what you're saying. Astrology is first of all, it's a science, and it's the study of energy, and it's how the energies are configured within you. And all energies have a negative pole and a positive pole. That's all it is. You can be on the positive pole of a really hot energy, or you can be on the negative pole of a really hot energy. If you're on the positive pole of a really hot energy, then you're a really creative person. You know, you've mastered that. You know, the thing is for us to master our emotions, to master ourselves. Astrology the natal chart is just a picture of what is possible. And there are a million configurations of what that can express as within you. And you, at some point, we start off at the effect of our emotions. So like Aries is really reactive. It's just it's a baby, right? If a baby falls down, it's not going to be like, oh, let me fall up and get myself up. A baby going to just cry, wah! Right? Yeah. It just reacts to what it feels. But when you realize that energy is in you, then you can do rituals and practices to help you be less reactive. So that you can see yourself, so that you can master your energy. You can do breath work. You can do work, generational karma work around your family. Like maybe oftentimes our astrology is similar to the people in our families because we are here to heal these energies within our family constellations. So, maybe you were really reactive and your mother was really reactive and her mother was really reactive. Like I come from a family of women who were really sexual. Like my mother was a prostitute. Her mother slept with all her husband's friends. That sister-in-law was like all of this sexual stuff, right? But then when I do the work to heal it, I no longer I know I'm an open woman. I'm no longer the type of woman who's like trying to be in a monogamous relationship, hoping I'm gonna not get bored. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get bored. So I'm not going to call myself monogamous. I'm gonna let everybody know this is an open experience. Woo! But I had to know myself.
Yes. Oh my God. So speaking of that, let me ask you this. So can you see potential bisexuality or gay or polygamy? Like, can you see these type of things?
Sometimes, not always. I can certainly see, like your chart is somebody who I would say is a more open person. So because of Aquarius, right? Aquarius is very independent. So even though Aquarius can totally be in a monogamous relationship, you're going to think for yourself though. You're not going to allow anybody to think for you. You're not going to, Aquarians are not people who are thinking how they can please somebody else. That's just not. And then Aquarius moon, Aquarius sun, and Gemini rising, girl, with all that Aries stuff in it, you are independent. So that could be really good for an open relationship. Somebody who can have many partners. Like I have a girlfriend who has 2 husbands, and it's all above board. They get it. It's agreed upon. There's no lying going on. And I can see that stuff in her chart. Sometimes I can see, like if a man has a lot of planets in Virgo, they might have a tendency to be more drawn towards feminine ways of being, because Virgo is a very, very, very feminine sign. And men who are Virgo, like my father was a Virgo and he wasn't gay, but he had a very cantankerous relationship with women and he really wanted to dominate them. It was almost like, if my father's not alive anymore, but looking back on his life, it's like maybe he was bisexual or gay or something like that, but it just wasn't acceptable. So he didn't know how to express it. And so it just turned into violence against women.
That is very interesting because, like, my favorite sign in the world is Virgo. My boyfriend's a Virgo, that's why I say that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really interesting. And actually, almost every person in my life who's really a big factor to me is a Virgo. So that's really interesting. And I can see either the very nurturing qualities or the bisexual qualities. I definitely see that in my Virgo friends and Virgo family, or just the nurturing aspect for sure. So that is really cool. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I just gotta thank you again. But as it relates to Mars, now, so say a person like with Mars, can you break down like how much you really can see about a person sexually looking at their Mars and how it's aspected? Because I know that's important.
Well, so here's the thing: most people are sexually suppressed, are not in there. So I can see what's like. So you have Mars and Sagittarius in the 8th house, conjunct in the 8th house with Uranus and Saturn and Neptune.
First of all, but go ahead.
So, but Mars conjunct Uranus, like I would say that that's somebody who's really highly sexual, like has an insatiable sexual appetite. But then you have, but then you have Saturn there, right? So then Saturn there says, oh no, she actually questions herself sexually. She doesn't let herself be really true to who she is. Like you might feel something and then judge yourself or be like, that's in it. Like, and so then you're not really as sexual as you could be. But Saturn is just maturity. So you're just not that yet. One day you'll get there and be like, I'm okay. I can do this. I can act on this.
I also feel like a lot of sexual traumas and things like that can
yes.
And even me being Aquarius also, I could live in space and be more detached from my body. But what's crazy about all of that is this is again, y'all, keep this in mind when I'm talking because she literally just said a mouthful. Like, what was missing was that I was for years, like, I didn't show my legs, I wouldn't show my arms. I was like, you know, I was very touchy-feely with the sex thing for a lot of reasons. Number one, I just was raised by a certain way. But number two, sexual traumas. And number three, I think after I studied astrology, I think Aquarius had a lot to do with that too, because I be so in my head that sex and just contact with my body was just something that I didn't do. But I will say to you, as I discovered my sexuality, girl, I am into some crazy shit. So it's amazing how, and even with that said, I don't have to have sex all the time. When I do it, I do it. I don't have to do it all the time. I don't have to. I can go months and months and months and months without sex, and then I can be like, hey, a week, 2 weeks, I'm going crazy, and then after that, I can be done for 9-10 months. So it's really interesting that you say that because you bust me out about some shit now, but at the same time that Aquarius does, I feel like it really makes me disconnected in a way from my body. It took me years and I'm still learning. Hence the pole classes, hence me doing things now as a woman where I'm learning that I need to be more in tune with my body. I need to be more in control of my body. I need to heal certain parts of traumas as it relates to my sexuality and things like that. So with me understanding that as a 33-year-old woman, astrology really helps me a lot in understanding that, number one, when I'm doing, if I'm thinking about something crazy or freaky, it's not wrong. Because like you said, that's going to have me judging it. Like, what? You just thought of that crazy shit? Like, what? What are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I mean? Two, it also this new journey in astrology is allowing me to just tap more into my feminine energy and embrace that, because again, all these Aquarius placements and this fire placements make me very masculine as a woman. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very important to, and I wanted you to kind of elaborate that it's so important to understand your chart because you can really see
Right.
all these things I'm talking about, y'all. When I tell y'all, I didn't run into astrology because it was a trend. I didn't run into astrology because someone told me about it and I just like, oh, okay, now I just want to do astrology. No, I feel like this was brought into my life. And when I tell y'all,
Yes.
I've never seen anything this accurate about me. I never seen
Yes.
anything. I'm talking about, I've read, I mean, from the Bible all the way down to
Mm-hmm.
whatever I was a part of, any kind of
Right.
organization.
Because the Bible is about Jesus. It's not about you.
Exactly. And you know, I always say, we know his story, but do you know your story? And
Right.
astrology helped me learn my story.
Mm-hmm.
Learn who I am and what is really
Right.
going on and how everything is on purpose. And you know how much faith you have and you realize that you are not alone. When you live your life
Right.
feeling like you alone all the time and you depressed,
Woo!
depressed and suicidal and all of that. And it's crazy because astrology let me see, wow, ain't no way in hell I'm alone. And I'm
Isn't that
reading, I'm reading me, everything.
right?
My biggest
You reading the book of your life. You
your
reading your book.
life. Yes, girl.
That's right.
Listen,
Yes.
listen, that is
Yes.
true. You reading your story.
That's right. It's your story. I love it. And let me tell you, when I was young, if I had this, it would have changed. I mean, I don't have any regrets at all. I really don't have any regrets.
Me either.
But I just remember being so depressed and so suicidal and so sad and so the end of the world. And he don't. And once, like, when I started reading astrology, I was like, oh, this is the solution. Like, I started reading astrology and was like, oh, that's why I was so depressed as a teenager, because the moon would go void. I didn't know. The void moon was ruling my emotions. So I would be, my emotions would swing. I mean, every teenage girl does that. They don't even realize it's happening because they're just so caught up in their experience, but it's governed by the moon. And when I got that, I was like, oh, this changes everything. Like, now when things happen and I feel heaviness coming, I just go look at my chart and go, oh, what's transiting?
Yes, sorry, I got hyped.
Right. Right. So I just go, oh, what's transiting? Like, so one time I had a lover and we started going through something and I could feel it. I just went and looked at my chart. I was like, oh, Saturn is transiting my Venus right now. So it's making me feel alone. It's making me feel like nobody likes me. But so I didn't have to go to him and say, you don't like me, because I got like, oh, this is what's happening in the cosmos and it's making me feel this way.
Hello. Exactly.
Hello.
Oh my God. You said a mouthful. Like, seriously. And what's so crazy is, like you said, that, oh my God, I'm so alone. Listen, and this is not, we're both, I mean, I would say warriors. I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
She's evidently had suicidal thoughts because she said it. I know for a fact I've been humiliated and had suicidal thoughts, been in mental institutions. We are transparent here. It's cool. I don't even care.
Yeah.
This is my journey.
Yep.
I'm not ashamed of anything. But I
Yes.
want you to take this as a opportunity to realize just how informative this is and how it can really heal you, because with all of that, it's all about directing the energy. And once I learned, like, stop, you so, I owe them, why me, I need relationships, I need love. And then when you see that shit in your chart, it changes everything. Because you like, wow, the whole time I vibrated a certain way where I felt like I needed somebody. So I attracted people to me who could exploit that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I attracted a mirror. Essentially, I can't be mad at them, even though whether that's just their natures, but I attracted that energy because I was vibrating in that type of way. And when you can understand that, your life will change dramatically.
That's right.
So if you are out there suicidal, if you feeling low on yourself, if you got low self-esteem, if you feeling like you're not good enough, if you meeting partners and all they do is you feel like they beat your self-esteem up and things like that, you have to ask yourself, what is it about me and how am I vibrating where I'm even attracting this kind of person or this kind of energy? And when they say it's not necessarily them, it's you. And astrology helps you see that because you see, oh wow, I'm vibrating a certain way, and I'm attracting this kind of energy to
Right.
myself. So you can do the
Right.
magic and you can control it. Do you feel? I'm not gonna lie. You know when they have like fairy tales and they all these fairy tale stories. Astrology is like it helps me believe in fairy tales because it's really one of those things where I feel like wow, I'm in control and I really can like learn this thing like a PlayStation game or something like that. You know, you can learn the cheat
Right.
codes, honey, and you can figure yourself
Right.
out.
And once you get really clear, you can start creating what you want. That's the thing. That's what I really teach people how to do. So you have to heal your patterns. You know, and the patterns come through our family and it comes through karma and stuff we bring from past lives, because that's also the truth about astrology. But once you start to see it, then you start reacting different to stuff, and then you can create whatever you want. So now I know where the moon and I know if the full moon is going to be somewhere and the new moon is going to be somewhere. Oh, it's going to be, so this year it's going to be in Scorpio in a couple of days, right? So it's like, okay, Scorpio is sexual power. So I know a month in advance. This month I get to work on my sexuality because the full moon is going to be in Scorpio. So what are the things I'm still trying to heal in my sexuality? And it's so good because our sexuality and our spirituality and our creativity are one thing. So
could you elaborate on that real quick for the people? What does that mean?
That
was a big statement.
Yep. So our spirituality is connected to our desire. It's the force of the universe that's moving through you. You feel it in your pussy when you're attracted to somebody. You know, you feel it in your heart when you hear a song that you like, or you see that's your sexuality and your spirituality. You know, like those of us who grew up in church and who really, you know, you hear a good song and you love God, and like that's the same energy. It's life force. It moves through your first chakra, through your heart chakra. It's generating a force through you, right? And when you start to understand that is connected to the cosmos, then it's like, so I'm just like looking at my life and going, because it's also connected to your money. Your sexuality is connected to how you make money. So if you know, women think like whatever you think about your sexuality creates an opening or a block to your joy, to your heart, it is the core of your beingness. So if you feel guilty about how many people you've had sex with, then you feel guilty about how you're going to make money. Like I used to not want to sell my products because my mother was a prostitute. And I would be like, I associated me selling something with watching my mother sell her pussy. Like I just couldn't do it, like, because it was like it's, you know, I was a child, right? So it's like, it just was a weird thing, but that thought pattern was impacting the way I was doing business.
Exactly. I totally relate because my sexual traumas and my detachment from my body, I used to look at girls who were strippers. I used to look at girls who were sexually fluid, and I used to be like, oh, I used to judge it. But I realized all that judgment came from me not being connected to that energy.
That's right.
Me not understanding that energy. So you see how like your natures, it will show you what you like, what you dislike, and how it's all on purpose. When you realize
that's right,
it's on purpose. Even your flaws, even the things that you need to work on, even the traumas, even the trials and tribulations you want. When you realize it's on purpose,
yes,
yes, your perspective, and it allows you to just surrender.
Yes.
Listen, this is not one of those things where you have to look a certain way. And that's what I realized. I don't know if for you, if that was something for you, but I feel like when it comes to organized religion, and I'm not even saying nothing is wrong with it, because I think that after I've changed and I start studying voodoo and hoodoo, and I learned about religion and how it's not necessarily bad and can be applied if you need that discipline, but you should always rely on the God in you and your spirituality.
Yes.
First. And so, when I realized it don't gotta look a certain type of way, it don't gotta walk a certain type of way, It has
That's
to be
right.
dressed a certain type of way. It's not just this flag or this symbolism. Not to say that certain
Mm-hmm.
things don't hold value, but at the same time, knowing yourself first is
That's right.
the key to
Yes.
being able to really be involved with those things genuinely. To say, okay, I can be involved with these things, but I'm going to use these tools. These are going to be tools to help me make the God in me even bigger. Not
Yes.
you relying on these things because you feel like you need a savior. You need,
Right.
you're coming from a needy place. Do you feel like when you was a part of all these other things, and then when you got to astrology, could you see that difference that I just talked about? Do you feel like that you saw that?
Yes. Yes. Because I realized that all the things I was praying for somebody to come and do, really it's Dorothy, it's the Wizard of Oz. It's like you were home all along. Like,
Yes. Okay.
it's been in you all along. It's really that. And I feel like I said, I've always been a person who loved spiritual practice, loved God. And I feel so close to God now because I have astrology.
No, for real.
It's right. Right. I feel the magic. I can, like I said, I can create when I want. Like if I have something going on with me and somebody, I'll be like, I'm going to just set an intention and do a ritual. Like maybe I'm not getting along with a boyfriend or something, right? And I can feel it. I can see it in the astrology. I can always see it in the astrology. Oh, they're going through this transit right now. I'm going through this, da, 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 da. Then I'll just do a ritual to like neutralize the energy or harmonize the energy or something like that. And then, boom, it changes. I'm magic. I can change whatever I want.
Listen, this is beautiful because I hope that y'all realizing, yes, we're talking about sensuality, we're talking about sexuality, and everything is really sex when you really think about it. The expanding,
Yes.
the contracting, it's all a part of that. And I honestly, since we're here in Tarot at the Dark, could you elaborate on when you hear sex, what does that mean spiritually and alchemy wise?
Oh gosh, yeah. Wow. So sex is such a gift. It is such a gift. And it's God's gift. And here's all like sex is the way we exchange information. We exchange DNA and biology. That's what it is. It strengthens us because the more sex partners we have, this is the thing that we don't understand. The more partners a woman has, the stronger her biology is because she has taken on those different energies and DNA. Like, so literally, sex workers are the most powerful people because they have connected to the most people sexually. The goddess is versatile. To embody goddess energy. That's why in ancient times there was like the mythology of the sacred whore who, when the men would come from war, they would go live in the temples with the sacred whores, and these women would have sex with them and nurture them and love them to take the war out of their bodies.
That is so deep.
Yeah. Yes, because sex is medicine. Sex heals. That's what it does. And and when we do it consciously, we understand that we really are in an exchange. We really are in.
I can't. The thing is, I don't want this to go over people's heads. You said when we do it consciously. And I'm sorry I had to say that because I wanted to stop so people could catch it. Don't think just go sleep with everybody and this makes you powerful. No, because you are exchanging the energy, and the energy is everything. It is your currency. It is your power. So if you're doing it consciously though, and you know your native, and you know yourself, and you know your own natures, you know what you like, and you know your traumas, and you've healed those traumas. You looked in the mirror, you dealt with that. Now is where you're transmuting energy and you're getting with somebody and you're creating all this power. And so
that's right.
I wanted you to continue that. I just wanted to stop there and break that down so people could really get into it and understand what that meant when she said that.
That's it. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for clarifying that, because yes, consciousness is important. You know, we really are, there is no such thing as casual sex. Casual sex just meant that you didn't think about it consciously. That's all casual sex means, because the implications in the exchange are always there. And when you're unconscious in it, that is, to me, you know, this language is not, but here's the thing, sex is the act of God between two people. And when you don't understand that you are laying down with God, God as Brian, God as George, God as Mary, God as, that's it. And so when you don't recognize that this is a God experience, then you are committing adultery or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, because you're not in alignment with the sacredness of the act and your consciousness. So, you know, and that costs something. That costs something to me. And I think, so it's just a great, sex is a beautiful thing. And when people, 2, 3, 4, however many people decide to do it together, I don't care. But when you're conscious, you are creating realities that like, it heals your body, it can heal your finances, it can heal your family when you're conscious, because it is the life generating force. And like I always like to say, you know, they say, we make love, right? So if you were made in the act of making love, then you are the embodiment of love.
And so, real quick, I want to swing around, because that is indeed, definitely. So,
yes,
swing it back to your Venus. So when a person learns their Venus sign, and they
yes,
out their Venus, tell me how powerful that is, and what you can manifest in your life when you understand your Venus and you master it.
Well, you know, it's, you know, the thing that I think that's most beautiful about this is, and I talked about this in my live video today, I talked about how as a woman, I felt really immature and incapable of really creating my life and negotiating what I wanted, because I was taught to believe that women only wanted relationships and they wanted children. That was it. And so Venus is your emotions, and it's how you relate. So women really live there, but I feel like as a woman, we're given permission to be emotionally immature when things don't go our way and when we're not creating. But Venus is really the heart, and the heart creates everything. And I mean, everything is magnified through the heart energy, right? It is the sun, right? The sun governs the heart. So we are generating a force through our Venus, through how we relate to ourselves and others. So ultimately, and Venus is the mirror. Venus governs Taurus and Libra, and that's the mirror. So your partner is always a mirror reflection of you. Usually we're attracted to the masculine who represents our father or the and our father, not in a completely direct way, but energetically, right? Because our mother and father imprint us with their energy, and then we go out and become them and attract them in other people. So when you become aware of it and you master it, you don't have to be in the same patterns. You can understand this. I attracted this person because they are here to teach me something. I am here. I don't care what they're doing. They're here to teach me something. And that has been the most challenging thing for me, is that Venus says, I'm going to show up and say yes. Venus is like Oshun, right? So it's just yes. Like, so even if somebody is cheating on you, stay in the motherfucking relationship until you get the motherfucking lesson. Because otherwise you're going to just leave and go be with somebody else that's going to cheat on you. So just get cheated on in this relationship. Right. Figure it out. Figure it out.
This has been so dope. Okay, we know we can learn a lot about yourself through Venus. You learn a lot of yourself about yourself in Mars, your whole natal chart. But for the sake of tarot at the dark, and for the sake of and I want to ask you this real quick. I was finna say, for the sake of healing your sexuality, how do you feel about healing your sexuality with astrology?
Oh, it's the way I've healed my sexuality entirely. And I mean, here it's the way I've gotten information about what I was feeling. I have had to go and do practices to really help me fully heal, because the sexuality is happening in your body. So I don't just use astrology. I use astrology to see how my sexuality should function, right? And I looked at my family history to see how my family has used sexuality and how they've misused it, and how I've misused it, and my chart shows me how my sexuality should work, and I just see how it's out of alignment, and I can feel that in my body and in my relationships. So I've had to really heal my sensory body, because sex is a sensory thing, first and foremost: touch, taste, smell, all of that sort of stuff. And as I've changed my diet, I fast, I've done plant medicine, all this sort of stuff to really heal my sexuality. And I'm healing it based upon, so I know this history. Like, my mother was a prostitute while she was pregnant with me. 17 years old, fucking strangers, and I'm energetically with her. So I have felt that energy all my life. I have felt the energy of those men who were climbing on top of a 17-year-old girl, you know what, like for $50, right? So I have been healing that out of my own DNA for the last, 3 or 4 years. But I have been at the effect of it. I used to have like this insatiable desire for sex, and it felt toxic.
Right.
And so I just had to tell the truth. I had to get curious. And as I did so, God is good and has led me to the people and to the practices to help me really transform. So you can totally use astrology to shift your sexuality.
Most definitely. And I wanted to get your perspective on that. And I totally agree. Of course, there's other divination tools and other things that you can tap into. But I definitely wanted to talk about astrology and how you, specifically astrology, and how you could really learn a lot about yourself through just knowing the natal chart. And I mean, it's crazy that you say that, because I totally feel you, like, about the traumas and about, how you are a part of your mom. I was reading this book, it was like about sex, but it was about alchemy, and it was a workbook, and it just talked about how you are connected to your mother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And real quick before we close it out, I wanted you to talk quickly about that, because you said something powerful about the connection to your mom, even when you're just in her stomach.
Yeah.
And how that exchange happens on such a deep level.
I know. We are wonderfully made. That's what I want to start with. We are wonderfully made. Like, we don't even know the fullness of who we are and how we're made, because we're all connected. And when our mothers are born, they're born with all the eggs they'll ever have. So we've been with our mothers since our mothers were born. And that's really profound, right? So you're carrying your mother's trauma, you're carrying her mother's trauma, you're also carrying their gifts and blessings and all that sort of stuff. But it's when the traumas are not there, when the traumas are there, you still have to figure out how to work that stuff out. But to my point, though, it's just understanding how we're made, and that, I remember recently, I remembered that when I was in school, I used to be able to, kind of skim through a book and then take a test, like I'd read it, and pass the test. But then I realized later in life yeah, you don't know how to, like, you can't really sit down for a book though, because you skip that part. Like nothing ever goes away is my point. The places where we skip things or don't do things, they're just in there. So whatever my mother didn't take care of, I inherited it from her. Just like you inherit the property, you also inherit the stuff, right? So it's just important for us to heal ourselves because we just carry it and we pass it down from generation to generation, is my point.
Before, first of all, this was amazing. I am beyond grateful for you just gracing Tarot at the Dark with your presence.
Thank you.
Happy, like words can't even explain it, but I mean, feeling is everything, energy is everything. I know you feel the vibes. I thank you so much for coming on, and I wanted to let people know how they could find you and the services that you offer, how they can find you, and just some information about yourself. Those things specifically before I do a tarot reading, because I need people to understand all this greatness and how to get in contact with you directly if they have any questions or need any help.
Right. So they can find me on Instagram at Monique Ruffin. That's MoniqueRuff, as in Frank, F as in Frank, IN. My website is MoniqueRuffin.com. Facebook, Monique Ruffin, everything Monique Ruffin. And YouTube, Monique Ruffin. So they can find me that way, and it's pretty easy. And, you know, I love to help. I'm a Virgo. I have a stellium in Virgo. So I'm in the 6th house.
Virgo. I'm attached to Virgo energy. Boom. She a whole Virgo. Sorry, go ahead. Oh.
Yeah, so that's it. So I'm a Virgo so I'm here to be of service. I'm here to help women, especially Black women, but not only Black women, but especially Black women really wake up, because I feel like when Black women really wake up, we're gonna shift the poles, because we are the creators of all of this stuff. So
goodness, you said a mouthful. Always
saying and don't ask me another question about that. That's okay, because I know I said a mouthful.
Okay, so the Instagram, any website?
Monique Ruffin.
Any website they can reach you at?
MoniqueRuffin.com.
Okay, everything Monique Ruffin.
Right.
Okay, and really quickly, you deep dive into the services that you offer.
Okay, yes. So my first thing is always natal charts, because the natal chart is how you're going to know who you are, get to know who you are. And then after that, I offer all sorts of classes. I offer a class called 13 Moons Initiation. The moon work really helps women, people, period, but really learn how to use the moon cycles to activate your creative power, to recognize how you're creating your life. And, you know, every month be able to see, according to where the new and full moon is, what patterns do you have in place that you need to change, that need to shift in your life? So like, for instance, this month, we had the Aries new moon and Scorpio full moon. So I'm like, oh, Aries is about anger, you know, so how can you redirect your anger into power that matters to you, that works for you? So I have a class where people get to work on those things in their lives. And then I have several classes, but all my classes are connected to astrology. And then I do coaching, like I do couples coaching. I do coaching for children, like young adults who are really trying to find their way. I help them with their astrology and I will coach them until they really can get clear about who they are in the world. Coaching classes. I have a podcast called Forget Everything You Think You Know. You can find that on iTunes and all those podcast places. Forget Everything You Think You Know is the name of that, where I talk about how to use the astrology to heal your life. Yes. So I'm out there. You can find me.
You can find her, and I'll be tagging. So you get lost in that translation, which I don't know how you did, but if you did, I'll bring you back. Because she got the juice, okay? The knowledge is, and she's done the work herself on herself. And I mean, honestly, even if you don't get it perfect, your testimony is your story. And it's like the fact that she went through those things for herself, and to even just tell you how she did it for herself and give you the god dang on juice, honey. It's amazing. Okay. Well, I wanted to, number one, just thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
So thanks so much for coming on Tarot After Dark. I always close this out with a reading. And the reading that I'm going to do today, I'm really just feeling called to do a reading, like you said, based on what we need to transform ourselves. And I just did a whole reading on the full moon that's coming up on the 27th in Scorpio, but I just kind of want to revisit that. And this energy is so strong. I feel the energy so strong. And I do see people watching. And I thank y'all for watching and tuning in to Tarot After Dark as well. But really quickly, I just want to just give my thanks and gratitude and say a prayer really quickly.
Yes.
So we all could just put our energies real quick and just pull it in and just bring it together. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Monique Ruffin. Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you so much for my Spirit team that just brought this energy to me and said, hey, we need to talk about this. This is a conversation that needs to be had. And I thank you so much for just bringing that download to me and also allowing Miss Monique to be a vessel. I really want to say thank you, and please protect our energies and protect our minds and our hearts so that we can resonate with positivity and high vibrational energy and attract what we need to attract to ourselves. Please, Spirit, help guide me in this reading and be a vessel and use me. And if my throat chakra is blocked, unblock it. Allow me to say whatever it is that needs to be stated tonight, so that we can really get some clarity on how we can move forward with the energy of the cosmos, with the energy of the full moon in Scorpio, and how we can move forward from here and what it is that as a collective we need to work on. I and I just thank you so much for everything. And I just want to really
Asha.
thank you. So I shuffle the cards. I'm going to continue to do a shuffle. And again, this reading is going to just pretty much be an energy reading for the collective, a general reading. If it does not apply, I always say let it fly. Okay? But really quickly, I just want to say this. So the center card came out. Center, finding our center.
Yes.
Tapping it, filling yourself up with that light. Filling yourself up with positivity, practicing gratitude, centering yourself, learning how to heal your wounds, address you, and ask the universe to bring you these things that can help you and give you the tools, I would say. Not these things, let's name it. The tools you need to really find you and to heal yourself. Get centered, get grounded, figure out what your next step is. Look in the mirror. What is it that you need to work on? What's stopping you from manifesting? What's stopping you from achieving the goals you want to achieve? What is it that you want to do? Really looking into those things, getting centered, getting grounded. Okay, so illumination came upside down, and so did integrity. And so I also like, when I get reversals, which is cards that come upside down, I like to read them both ways because the energy it's a general reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. Make sure you're walking with integrity. Make sure you are getting centered and finding out who you are. What is your healthy boundaries? What is your values? What is your why? Walk with integrity. Know yourself, love yourself, get centered, get in tune. Now, what I'm finding in this reading is, even though I'm giving it out the way I give it out, I want to summarize these 3 cards, and they're all red cards, which is fire energy. So when I'm giving we all need to spark a fire on ourselves. It's the energy of this fire that either somebody is feeling or lack thereof. And either you need to get into it, your star player, and get some fire under your ass, or you are feeling fiery, and you are walking integrity, and you are figuring out what is your why, what are your values, what is your healthy boundaries. You know, what lines won't you let people cross? If it's the law of you, the land of you, what your temple, your rule, your house rules, what is that? Okay, and then I got passion. The passion card is it's a seas card. It's a water's card, and it's just the water is pouring from her heart. So it's saying, for me, when I see this, I just feel like we need to get more compassion with ourselves, and sometimes even with the people around us. And what I mean by around us is realize that just like you're human and you need to get centered and you need to walk with integrity and there's things you may need to work on and there's these epiphanies that you have, someone else is in the same shoes. We all go through the same experience just in a different way. So I would say just show more compassion to yourself and to others. You know, don't take humans so serious in the sense of taking everything so personal. Center yourself, ground yourself, know what you want, and know how to get it by knowing who you are and the things that make you tick. Okay, just a second here. I got ecstasy. So all this, so emotions, really just tapping into your emotions, your emotional body. The Wheel of Fortune card came out. So when I'm getting out this reading, and I'm going to just pull another card from another deck real quick. But what I'm getting from this is that, listen, it's all up to you. You just need to get centered. You need to get grounded. You need to get in tune with your star player and figure out what makes you feel good, what don't feel good to you. And follow your intuition and abide by the laws of the land as it relates to the universe and yourself. Karma, energy, what you put out, you get back. We get what we deserve. Are you deserving of love? Are you walking in the flow and the energy of high vibrations? Walking in integrity, having power, knowing what it is that you want, knowing what you don't want, but also being compassionate. Okay? Walking the vibration of love for yourself and for other people. But that takes to find your center, which is the first card that came out. And then I'm going to just pull a couple more cards from another deck. And then I got losses upside down. So to me, that just means that it says take the leap. So for me, that just means like nothing went in vain. If you feel like you've been through some things, if you feel like you had a hard time, if you feel like you've gone through ups and downs and highs and lows and you can't get a break and that was your story, guess what? It's not for no reason. It's happening for you. Not necessarily just to you. It's happening for you. And so get centered. Get centered. Practice some compassion. Practice forgiving yourself, forgiving others. Get in tune with your star prayer and take a leap of faith. If it's something that you want to do it. If it's something you want to be it. But first it comes with getting in tune with you. And I feel like I'm saying all this to say this is the energy. It says need. Figure out what your needs are. That just swings it all the way back around. And I'm going to pull one more card. And it says determination. So what are your needs, honey? What is it that you need? Some of us need to figure that out. What is it that you need? Love. What is it that you need to feel full? What is it that you need to feel whole and complete? And if you feel like, oh, I can't feel complete, why do you feel like that? Get in tune with your energy. Find your center. And that's what I do have for us tonight. And I'm really thankful for all of y'all, Miss Monique, the audience, just everybody. And I know, and I'm speaking it into existence. I'm going to have thousands of followers watching this because guess what? I don't just do this for me. I do this for us. And this is information that is so valuable. So I hope that you could just watch this one episode and you change your life. Because that's the goal. Every video should be life-changing some way. So again, Miss Monique, I thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. And y'all have a good night. I know I said that we would call in, but I promise y'all what I'm going to do is post the phone number because I'm going to open that line up between Mondays and Fridays between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're having any suicidal thoughts, if you're having any low vibrational energies, hell, if you just need clarity, it doesn't always have to be low vibrational. If you just need clarity, you need somebody to talk to, and you just have a lot of anxiety, that number is there, and I'm going to be offering consultations for you guys for free. But I'm also connected to people like Miss Ruffin and others who are spiritual warriors and who could help you, who I could refer you to. So I'll be making sure I do post that phone number. And that'll be the same number you'll be able to call in for our next Tarot After Dark session. Okay, so thank y'all again. Y'all have a good night. Thank you again, Miss Monique.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. I'll be touching base with you, okay?
Okay, thank you. Peace and blessings, my darling. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Have a good one.